Thanks for hanging out. It's the Scott Sand Show on News Radio 1370 and 92.9 FM. I, of course, am Scott. Everybody, I think, today a little tired, a little hungover after staying up late last night to watch the Browns beat the Steelers for their first playoff win in 17 years, maybe longer than that. It's been, 17 years since they were in the playoffs, and I don't even know if they won then. We're joined now by WTOL Sports Director Jordan Strack. Jordan, you were up late last night, I'm sure, watching the Brownies.
Yeah, absolutely. I not only was up late watching that, but then I had to flip on Bridgerton on Netflix after that, get, kind of wind down a little bit with an episode to kind of calm me down after watching the game last night. Yeah, it was a late night.
Yeah, and exciting for Browns fans everywhere. Browns Twitter was going nuts.
It was a unique experience last night. So I'm not a Browns fan. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, which is a good time to be a Bills fan for once. But it's it was an unbelievable experience last night. I think we're going to get the exact same thing tonight with the national title game. So yeah, Twitter is fun when there are big sporting events. I actually said to somebody the other day, it's I don't remember what we did before Twitter when there were sporting events. At our living rooms and talk to our dogs.
Right, we just used to talk to the people that we were at the bar with, but of course now because of Governor DeWine, we can't go to the bars.
That is right, Scott. Because there still is a pandemic. It's still going on.
Yeah.
Can't go to the bars.
So I think that the Steelers screwed up by not playing Roethlisberger last week and letting the Browns in the playoffs to beat them in the first round.
I guess hindsight's 20/20. If I'm looking back on it, though, listen, Ben Roethlisberger, when you can get him a rest like that, I think you have to let him get a rest. And they still almost beat the Browns. They actually played the Browns tougher without Ben than they did with Ben. It makes no sense, but it happened. And the Browns got a couple reinforcements back last night. But you look at the Browns last night; they're playing without their head coach, playing without a couple in the secondary, playing without some guys on the offensive line. They literally brought a guy in on the offensive line that Baker Mayfield met in the locker room before last night's game. So what the Browns did last night, it was unbelievable. It was extremely impressive.
It's going to be a shame to come to an end against the Chiefs next weekend.
Now that's a different animal. That is certainly a different animal. You get to go out to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes. Here's the hope. You hope that maybe Patrick Mahomes and the timing and everything's a little rusty. They had a week off. They've just been sitting around chilling. Maybe that helps, but I don't think it will.
So tonight, as you mentioned, as you alluded to, we're talking with Jordan Strack, Sports Director, WTOL 11 here on the Scott Sand Show. And this is also on video. You can go and watch the Zoom conversation if you want to see our faces at WSPD.com. The big game tonight, Roll Tide, my Alabama Crimson Tide, national championship game against the Buckeyes. I know you're a Michigan fan, but you're also a Big Ten guy.
Yeah. Have you gotten any funny looks wearing the Alabama sweatshirt around town or anything like that the last few days or what?
I intentionally bought a bunch of Alabama pennants and signs that I've hung up in my office for all of the Zoom meetings I'm on all week. And yeah, get some attention.
Yeah, around these parts, that doesn't fly. So you're a brave man, Scott. You're a brave man for doing that. But I'm looking forward to tonight. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited for it.
It didn't work out too well for me in 2014.
It did not. I was actually there in the building in 2014 when that happened down in New Orleans. I remember it well. And I went into that weekend. It was like one of the craziest weeks of my life, couple weeks of my life. So I was down there for the Sugar Bowl. Toledo actually played in Mobile that same year. So I actually flew home, went down to Mobile to cover the Rockets game, and then I went out to Dallas to cover the national championship game. It was like the craziest couple weeks of my life, but it was absolutely unbelievable. It was awesome.
What are your predictions for the game tonight? I think it's going to be a shootout. Unless I'm just wrong, I think it's going to come down to whoever's got the ball last or whoever screws up least.
Yeah, no, I think it's actually going to be really good. I'm kind of looking forward to it because, what Ohio State did last week against Clemson, that was what I was expecting from Ohio State all year long. They are absurdly talented. Their five-star backups have five-star backups, and it's the same thing with Alabama. Now, here's what I think the difference is between Alabama and Clemson. So I think when you look at this Ohio State team, they've obviously got Chris Olave, who is a superstar wide receiver. Does Alabama elect to put Patrick Surtain on him, go one-on-one, best corner in the country against the Buckeyes' best wide receiver? I mean, Patrick Surtain is a top 5, top 10 NFL draft pick. Do we see him go head-to-head against Chris Olave and then hope the Buckeyes you try to make the Buckeyes beat you another way? I think there's a lot of games within the game tonight. I think Alabama's offensive line is better than Clemson's offensive line was, for sure. So I don't see the Buckeyes beating as much havoc as they did a week ago. But I also, I think, Clemson had really, really good players all over the field. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really close game into the fourth quarter tonight.
We really haven't had a nail-biter national championship game in a few years. So that will be good. It will be good to see a good game if that's what we get. I mean, a lot of people are predicting a blowout from Alabama, but I just don't see how that's going to be possible. Both of these teams have high-caliber offenses and pretty damn good defenses.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a lot of college football playoff blowouts. Like, we've seen them in the semis, we've seen them in the final, we've seen a bunch of them. So I'm looking forward to this. I think, and I will say this, I think Ryan Day is one of the – I think the guy's brilliant as a head coach. I think he's innovative, he's smart. He does so many things that keep them in games. So that's why I don't see them getting blown out. I think Alabama's going to win tonight, but I think it'll be a close football game. I just don't see any way that Ryan Day can get blown out. That's good.
What's your prediction for the score?
I hate doing these. 34-31.
That close.
34-31. Yeah.
I find it hard to disagree.
Yeah, no, I do. I think maybe 34-28, 30, something like that. It's gonna be something tight. I think into the fourth quarter, we've got a one-score game, and it's about making a mistake late or something like that. And the other thing is, which Justin Fields do we get from Ohio? Justin Fields that played against Northwestern, because he wasn't great against Northwestern. That's all what it is. There were a couple games this year where Justin Fields didn't play terrific. Yeah,
but you also only played 6 games, so it was kind of hard to get into a rhythm. And I think we saw Fields and the offense get into a rhythm late in the season. So they could be hitting their stride. Ohio State could be on fire while Alabama's tired from playing a full season.
Is that the excuse you're building in already? You've already got this. You've already got this thing playing, huh?
I'm just throwing that out there that Alabama had to play 13 games. Ohio State played half the number of games that Alabama has played.
Yeah,
may not be in
there. And maybe Ohio State fans would argue that Alabama's had more time to get into a rhythm. Alabama's had more time to practice. They've had more time to do a lot of things.
And risk injury, like Jalen Waddle.
And Jalen Waddle is going to be back tonight, hopefully. So maybe listen. And that is a great point you just brought up. If Jalen Waddle plays tonight, that is just another weapon on an already ridiculously talented offensive football team. I don't know what Ohio State does. Ohio State has had secondary issues at times. How do they cover Devontae Smith? How do they cover Jalen Waddle if he's playing? All while still trying to stop Najee Harris. You've got tight ends. Like, how do you stop all of that? It's gonna be a challenge for the Buckeyes. But, they're gonna have to point tonight for sure.
A lot of weapons on both teams, and I think we'll see a great national championship game tonight. We're talking with Jordan Strack, sports director at WTOL. The video is at WSPD.com. You predicted 34-31. I think that's fair. I think the score could be in the 40s. I think it literally could be a possession game. I think both defenses are good, but not the best defenses either team has ever had. I think it's going to wind up being a shootout.
I agree with you on that. I think it's definitely. I mean, it could easily get into the 40s, and that wouldn't shock me at all. I think there's going to be a few mistakes made tonight. Just the big stage, the nerves, some of those things. There might be a few mistakes. night, I think that might limit the points under 40. But if it gets into the 40s, it wouldn't shock me at all. The Buckeyes are going to need a shootout, I think. I think they're going to have to try to match scores with Alabama because I don't think they're going to stop them.
Yeah, you could see some nerves like the first snap of the game to Ben Roethlisberger, 3 interceptions during the game. Anything like that could screw it up.
It made no sense. I mean, we're talking about Marquise Pouncey at the center position for Pittsburgh. He's a Pro Bowl guy. Like, he's played in a bunch of big games. For him to come and snap it over Ben's head on the first play, like, that didn't make any bit of sense to me last night. I didn't understand that in any way how that happened.
I'm not a conspiracy guy, but follow the money. Where were the bets in Vegas?
Listen, if Marquise Pouncey had the fix in last night, he did a damn good job. He did his job.
What kind of coverage of the national championship game do you have playing tonight on WTOL?
Yeah, so I'm actually live at 5, 5:30, and 6. At 5:30, I will be talking with our old buddy Dave Holmes from 10 TV, who was a former Toledo TV personality at a different station. Now he's working in the Tegna family, so we get to talk to him live at 5:30. We'll have a bunch of stuff throughout our newscast leading up to game time.
Thanks, Jordan. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Scott.
See ya.